Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video we are going to go ahead and begin a simple crash course on agentic behaviors in large language model applications. So you're going to be doing this using a framework called CrewAI. So CrewAI is a framework that is used to build agents. Like you can build multiple agents, and these agents can cooperate with each other to do different variety of things. So don't worry about what are agentic behaviors or what are agents in AI. This is something that is really trending, and I feel like the future of AI will be in towards this direction of having agentic behaviors in LLM based applications. So in this crash course, we're going to go over how to build an multiple agents that can work together to cooperate together to achieve a certain objective that we set for them using LLMs or large language models. So we're going to be using CrewAI for this, and it's going to be a very short course. We're going to go into the very basics and build a really good project at the end of the time. Okay, so we're going to this the outline. You're going to the outline that you're going to go over. What is CrewAI? A simple demonstration of what you're going to build at the end of the tutorial. You're going to look at some terminologies, what is an agent, what are tools. You're going to look at project setup, how to set up a project, and then finally build a simple project and add a gradual UI at the end of the time. Okay, so now let's jump into it. So what basically, let me just give you a simple demonstration of what you're going to be trying to build, or basically give you a simple understanding of what agents are and what are agentic behaviors in large language models. Okay, so let's say that I'm a user, right? So I want to create a bunch of agents, right? LLM applications, LLM tools, or let me just say that I want to create basically an LLM program that has multiple agents in it, right? So one agent can help me act as a supervisor. Another agent can help act as a correspondent. This is basically a scenario where we're going to be having an LLM application that's going to be able to generate news reports, right? So in a news company or a newsroom, there are supervisors, there are correspondents, there are news editors, there are ads writers who write ads inside of the news, and then all of these guys communicate back to the supervisor. The supervisor now communicates to us who are basically prompting the model to do something, right? So basically I can have different personas inside of my LLM application. Instead of having just one persona with one prompt, I can have multiple personas that supervise each other, and the AIs do this automatically. So you can think of it like having different persons instead of a room, right? And that are working together to achieve a certain goal. And these are each of these persons is called an agent, and a collection of this can become a whole collection of this agent become a crew, and that's where you have the term CrewAI comes from, right? So you can think of it from that term. Okay, so if you don't really understand it, just stick around and I'll explain this to you in more details. Okay, so now what is CrewAI? So CrewAI, this is just the information I got from the page, right? So this is a cutting-edge framework for orchestrating a role-playing autonomous AI agent. So basically, these agents are basically autonomous, and they can work together in an orchestration to achieve a certain goal. So by fostering collaborative intelligence, CrewAI empowers agents to work together seamlessly, tackling complex tasks. When you have different very complex tasks, like in our case here, we want to have create a newsroom full of AI agents that are cooperating to generate the news, right? We have a correspondent that can search on the internet for latest news. We have a news editor that's going to write the news editor. We're going to have the ads writer that's going to take the final report from the news editor and write ads in it. And we have a whole supervisor who supervises all these other agents and see, hey, how are these agents cooperating? Are the behaviors of these agents good? Is the final report good? If not good, it will ask the agent, hey, can you modify this? Can you change this? Can you change that? Just like the way a human will work, right? So we have a collection of these working together to form basically a crew of AI agents, right? And this is going to be the future of AI as we go along, because you can have really complicated tasks, and sometimes having only one AI do all the stuff with one single prompt can become really difficult. So having multiple agents, each dedicated to a specific task, and that does that task really well, is better than having one agent that knows everything, right? Just like a Swiss knife, right? Instead of having a Swiss knife kind of agent who knows everything, we have an agent that is specialized in each specific area. So it's really good in the area that is specified in. So a collection of these guys working together, a collection of experts working together, you get a better performance for your LLM applications. So let's look at what are agents. So Agents are basically signifies individual members of a team, of your team, each distinguished by their specific functions, their personal history, their objectives, and their experiences. So personal history, like each agent has its own chat history, has its own memory, and is able to manage itself, but can also collaborate with other agents. We have tasks, so represent concise and precise assignments designated to each agent. So each agent can be given a task to perform. So each agent can be given a task to perform. Like in our case, you have an agent that deals with uh, a news editor. So it's gonna be only its task only to edit news information. That is the task of that agent. We also have tools. So agent can have collection of tools that they can use to accomplish their task. So for example, we have a correspondent in our case, right? The correspondent needs to get the latest news on the internet. So you can provide it a tool that can enable the agent to be able to browse the internet and get real-time information. Or you might have your own RAG system, and this agent can basically talk to your own document and grab the relevant document and use that document within generating reports, right? So you can have like kind of like a daily report kind of agents, collection of agents, whereby one agent basically gets the latest data from your private or corporate data, and then another agent analyzes the data, present it to a supervisor. The supervisor prepares the final report and then present it to you, who is the user, right? So those are basically the things that we have. So tools are just things that the agents use to accomplish their different tasks. Okay. Now let's look at how we're going to go ahead and set up this project. Again, I don't want to go into terms explaining everything into depth, everything little by little. I think the best way to learn is through practical experience, right? So we're going to go jump straight into coding, and once we are coding, I'll explain to you more stuff as we code, why we are doing everything line by line. Okay, so let's get started into it. So I'm going to be using Poetry to set up my project. If you don't have Poetry or you don't know what Poetry is, that's fine. You can use the normal Python virtual environment. And if you don't want to use Python virtual environment, feel free to install this in the global Python environment. That will have no issue. Okay. So let's get into it. So, but basically, I would advise you to create a Python virtual environment. And if you don't know, you can just Google online how to create a Python virtual environment, or you can watch some of my other videos where I create Python virtual environments. Okay. So in this case, I'm going to be using Poetry, and actually, this is the first time I'm using Poetry on any YouTube tutorial. But yeah, let me just use Poetry for this. Okay. So let's get started into it. So I'm going to go into my terminal. So once I'm into my terminal, I'm in a folder called tutorials where I have all my tutorial folders. So I'm going to say poetry, and let me just look at the command poetry new, and I'm going to call a folder called CrewAI underscore tutorial, and then hyphen name, and then give it a name. Okay, so I'm going to say poetry new, and I'm going to call it CrewAI underscore tutorial, and then finally hyphen name, and then give it an app. So this will create a folder within. So it's going to create a folder called CrewAI. Within it, you're going to have another folder called app. Okay. So run that, and that's going to go ahead and create. So you can see created package app inside of CrewAI tutorial. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and simply change directory into my CrewAI tutorial folder. And if I look at it, I have this content right in here. So let me just go ahead and open up VS Code. Okay, so if I open up VS Code, this is what I'm going to see. Right, so let me just open up VS Code, make this larger. And basically this is what we have inside of our VS Code. So if I look into our app right now, we only have we don't have anything. You should have only one file in there, which is the underscore init file, init.py file. And in here we have our toml file that you're going to use. Again, you don't have to know all this. Okay, this tutorial is not about poetry, so I'm not going to go ahead and go into depth about this. So once I have that, let me just go ahead and close this for now. We'll come back to it just in a second. So let's go ahead and with the other installations that we need to do. So also I need to go ahead and run this command to export the virtual environment into a project, so that VS Code can pick it up, and then you don't have any hint warnings and other stuff like that. So I'm going to say poetry config virtual environments. Okay, let me just write that down. So poetry config, and then we go ahead and send virtual envs. So virtual envs dot, and then finally we say in hyphen project. Say in hyphen project, and then let's look at the last command, and you're going to say that's going to be true, and then run that. So that's going to basically add in so if I do ls hyphen la, it's going to show now a dot folder right there. So I cannot see this right now. So let me just go ahead and open up VS Code again. Let me open up VS Code one more time, and we should now see an env file in here. So let's just give it a bit of time. Okay, you can see an env file right here. So it doesn't actually show the env file for some reason. Let me see, it doesn't show it, but for now let's just ignore it. Basically that's the command that you're going to use. So let me just make sure that we wrote that command properly, and then you don't have to worry about it. Okay, so poetry config and then virtual envs dot in project and then true. That's basically it. So yeah, that's it, and that's all we need to do to create to export our virtual environment inside of our project folder. Okay, so once we have it done, now you're going to go ahead and install a couple of things. You're going to install CrewAI, you're going to install Python decouple, you're going to install Gradio, and you're going to install Beautiful Soup. Okay, so let me just go ahead and add that in there. So I'm going to say poetry add, and I'm going to say going to add CrewAI, you're going to add Beautiful Soup 4, you're going to add Python decouple hyphen decouple. You're also going to go ahead and add in Gradio that you're going to use to build our UI component. So once we have that running, we just press enter, and that's going to go ahead and install all those libraries that we specified right here. So let me just check and make sure that I have all the libraries specified there. So I said CrewAI, correct, Python decouple, correct, Gradio, correct, and then Beautiful Soup 4. Good. So once we have that done, we can go ahead and wait for this to get installed. And once this is installed, we can just go ahead and jump into the coding. So this can take a bit of time depending on your internet speed of how fast your CPU or your computer really is. So this can take up to about 2 minutes to 1 minute depending on your speed of the internet and also your computer. So let's give this a bit of time, and because I'm recording the video, so this might be a bit slow on my end because recording video takes more resources, but basically let's just wait for this to get installed. Okay, so basically we are done. We have all those installed. Okay, yes, actually a bit faster. So I don't worry about these other libraries that is installing in the background. They're just dependencies that the libraries that you're installing actually need to work. So yeah, so that's basically, it should get done in no time. Okay, looks like it's done. So we are done, and you can just go ahead and open now VS Code. Good. So this will open up my VS Code, or feel free to use any editor that you're comfortable working with. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and close this up, and now you can see we have the env file folder right here. So that's the folder I was looking for to show you earlier on, but now you can see it's right here, env folder. So that basically helps VS Code pick up all the libraries and dependencies that you have installed, so that it can avoid giving us like these linting errors and other stuff like that, warnings, like stuff like that. Okay, so now that we have that done, let's begin to code. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to create a file, and I'm going to call this file, let me just call it basically basics underscore 01.py. Okay, so this my looks like my system is a bit slow because I'm have my video being recorded, so it's a bit slow, but bear with me. I'm just going to go ahead and import all the things that we need to get started with this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and import all the following. So I'm going to import OS. I'm going to import requests. I'm going to go ahead and let me just close these guys up. Okay, so I'm also going to go ahead and say from BS4, Beautiful Soup 4, import beautiful soup. I'm also going to go ahead and say from CrewAI, I'm going to go ahead and import the following. So I'm going to import what you call agents. So agent, that's going to help us to create an agent. We are going to create a task. We talk about task, and we're going to create a crew. And a crew is just a collection of multiple agents. And an agent can be anything, and the task, and an agent can be basically a bot with a prompt, and also a bunch of tools that it can use. Task is basically what you want that agent to do, and a crew is just a collection of multiple agents. Okay, we're also going to say from langchain dot tools. Okay, you're going to import tools. Okay, so one thing I didn't explain to you earlier on is that CrewAI is built on top of LangChain, right? It has a lot of components built up on top of LangChain, so it's basically easy, very easy to integrate the two. LangChain and CrewAI work perfectly together. So almost anything you can do in LangChain, you can probably do with CrewAI, right? So that's basically it. So I'm also going to import tools, and these tools are going to help us to create our own tool. Okay, so it's actually tool and not tools. Okay, so once I have that, I'm also going to say from decouple, I'm going to import config. This is going to help us to read our environment variables, and you're going to create environment variables just in a second because we need the OpenAI API keys to work with this. Okay, so you can also use other LLMs, but for now I'm only using OpenAI because it's just easy to plug in and play, and so I'm going to use OpenAI. Okay, so I'm also going to say from DuckDuckGo. It looks like I think I didn't install DuckDuckGo. Let's just say DuckDuckGo dot DuckDuckGo underscore search. I'm going to import DuckDuckGo search. Sorry, this is actually the DuckDuckGo search, just like this. So I actually need to install DuckDuckGo. So let me just go ahead and install it instead of my terminal. So go back in here. I'm going to say poetry add, and I'm going to say DuckDuckGo underscore hyphen search. Okay, that's going to go ahead and add in the DuckDuckGo search for us. Okay, so that's something I forgot to install that. So let me just go ahead and okay, I have an issue right here. So now you can see it doesn't allow this to work. So you can give a suggestion that you need to change the Python version. So let's go ahead and actually change that Python version inside of our toml file. So go back into your VS Code. This is my VS Code right here. And then go inside of your toml file. And in here, just go ahead and change the Python version right here. So just change with what you got suggested from the terminal. So once I have that done, I'm going to go back in here, clear this, and then rerun that command to install DuckDuckGo. Okay, so DuckDuckGo, to install DuckDuckGo, you need to have the Python version changed a bit. Okay, so that's going to go ahead and take a bit of time, and it's going to install DuckDuckGo. So once that's installed, while this is being installed, we can actually go back into VS Code right here. I can close this toml file, and then finally I can go ahead and just keep on importing the things that I need to import. So I'm going to say from langchain underscore OpenAI, I'm going to go ahead and import chat OpenAI, just like that. Okay, so that's it. That's all I need from langchain underscore OpenAI. I'm going to go ahead and import OpenAI that way. Good. So once we have this done now, let's go ahead and now get an OpenAI key because we need to use OpenAI. So I'm going to go ahead and create a Python, a virtual environment file right here, just like this. And now go online and get your basically get your OpenAI key. So this is basically the Git repository of CrewAI, and I'm going to leave this link in the description of the video for you guys so that you guys can follow and read the documentation in case you have any issues. Again, I'm also going to leave the GitHub repository code for you so that you guys can have access to it. So yeah, so just go online and Google openai.com, and once you're in here, just log into your account. I need to bring you to this page right here. Okay, so once you're in here, you go into the API sections, and you can get your API key from here. So you can also generate a new API key if you want. Okay, so that's basically what you need to get an API key. Okay, so once you have the API key, make sure yes you have the API key. So you're going to go ahead and simply say open AI underscore API underscore key, and then you're going to go ahead and paste your API key, which is going to be something like SK S, and then finally some gibberish that follows, right? That's basically your API key. Okay, so let me just go ahead and get my API key and add it in here because I don't want you guys to have access to my API key. So let me just add in my API key in here, and I'll be back recording. Okay guys, so I'm back recording, and I just added my API key into my env file right, just so you guys cannot see that API key. Okay, so once we have the API key, now let's go ahead and add our API key instead of our environment variable. So environment, you're going to go ahead and simply add the following. So you're going to say open, okay, this is going to be uppercase, open AI underscore API underscore key, and then finally say equals to, and then you're going to say config, and then I'm going to pass in open AI underscore API underscore key. So this, whatever you pass in here, it must be whatever you specified inside of your env file. Remember we said that open AI something like this, open AI, and then equals to, and then you finally put in our open API key, right? So something like this. So whatever value you put in here is what you specify in here. Okay, so keep that in mind. Okay, so once you have that done, you're good to go. So now let's also create an LLM. I'm going to be using the GPT-4 model because if whenever I'm working in the GPT-3 model, sometimes I exceed the context window because the crew that you're creating sometimes can be a big large and has a large memory, so we need a larger context window. So sometimes you might get the context window being overflown. So in such cases, what you can simply do is just move on to GPT-4 Turbo preview model, or you can actually just make sure that you reduce the complexity of your AI crew. Okay, so let's just keep that in mind in case you get any error. So I'm going to use chat OpenAI. I'm going to specify the model, and the model is going to be basically the GPT-4 Turbo, and then finally preview, just like that. So that's basically it. So when you say GPT-4 Turbo hyphen preview, that's going to be our model name. That's it. So once we have all that done, now let's go ahead and begin to create our crew, our agents. That basically a collection of agents forms a crew, right? So now I'm going to first start by creating the tools that this agent will use, right? So when we are creating the agent, you can specify the tools that they should use. So now, first of all, let's go ahead and create the tools that these agents need. So I'm going to say class, and I'm going to call it web browser tool, and this is going to be a class for now. In this class, you're going to have a couple of methods. So I'm going to say def, and you're going to say internet underscore search. So internet search, just like that. So the internet search, you're going to pass in a query, and a query is going to be of type string, and this is going to return to us a string at the end of the day. And this is going to be simply, you're going to need to now for this method to be a tool, there are a couple of things that we need to do. The first thing you need to do is to pass in a doc string. So you need to add in a doc string right here. So I'm going to say useful for querying content on the internet, just like that, or on the internet. Okay, using, you can specify using duck go. Okay, so basically what the reason why we're providing these doc strings is that it's going to be used by the LLM to decide which function to use depending on which task is at hand. Okay, so that's very, very important that you pass in the doc strings right here. So once you pass in the doc string, I'm going to use the pass method, pass keyword right here. I'm also going to add in a decorator to this. So the decorator, I'm going to pass in the name of this. It's going to be internet basically underscore search tool, internet search. And finally, you can pass in return underscore redirect, return direct. So return direct, and it's gonna be false. So return direct basically specifies that this tool cannot return results back to us as the final output of the crew, right? So basically, this result must go back to an agent inside of the crew, and the agent makes use of that data, and then the agent can return to us the data. We don't want the tools returning data back to us. We want the agent returning data back to us, right? That's why we specify return redirect equals to return direct false. Okay, so now what is this tool going to do? So I'm going to use the DuckDuckGo. So I'm going to simply import you're going to use DuckDuckGo. You're going to have it going to say as DuckDuckGo search. Basically, let me get this right, the spelling errors. Okay, DuckDuckGo search. What you're going to simply go ahead and do, you're going to say results is going to be equals to, I'm going to create a list. You're going to say r for r in DuckDuckGo search dot text. You're going to pass in text. You're going to say query is going to be equal. You're going to pass in the query, and you're going to say max underscore result, and you're going to limit this to be maybe 5 or 3 or 2. So let's say for now, let's simply say 2 to reduce the size of the context windows. In case for you guys who are using GPT-3 model, which is the free version, you can reduce the number of search results that you get back in order to avoid flooding the context window and overflowing it in case you're using a smaller model. So I'm going to say return result if results, else you're going to return no results. That's basically it. So return results if results, okay, let me get that right. If results, else you're going to return no results. Okay, so that's basically a one line if and else statement in Python. Okay, that's it. So that's basically what this tool basically does. That's basically how you can create your own tool. Again, you don't have to actually use these tools like this. You can actually, there are a lot of custom tools that LangChain provides us. So you can use any of these custom tools that LangChain provides us. I'm just showing you how to create your custom tools, and I think it's a best practice because in most cases you are trying to do something that maybe LangChain didn't think of or didn't provide a tool for, right? So it's best that you understand how to create your own tools. So that's why I'm having my own tools. So when you say process underscore search underscore content, so this is going let me just say search results, right? So this is going to basically provide ability to process these search results that you get back. So URL is going to be of type string, and you're going to return Python string at the end of the time. Okay. So what you're going to go ahead and do here, I'm going to again, you need to add in a doc string. So a doc string right here, and you say process content from web pages. So this is basically telling the LLM what this tool can be used for. Again, to make this a tool, we have added the doc string. We also need to go ahead and add in the decorator. So tool, you're going to simply say process underscore search. Let me get that right. So search underscore result. That's it. And I'm going to say return. Again, I'm going to say return direct. I'm going to say to false, and I explain to you why I'm setting this to be false. Okay. So once I have this, I'm going to go ahead and say response is going to be equals to, I'm going to say request, request. Let me get that right. So request dot get, and I'm going to pass in URL, and it's going to be equals to the URL that we pass into this method call. You're going to also say soup, and the soup is going to be equals to beautiful soup. You're going to use beautiful soup right here. You're going to say dot beautiful soup, and you're going to say pass in the response. You're going to response dot content, and you're going to pass in finally the parser. You're going to use the HTML dot parser, just like that. Okay, that's all we need to do. And once we have that done, so let me just say response, okay, response dot content. And once we have that done, you're going to simply go ahead and return. Okay, I pressed the wrong key right there, so I'm going to go ahead and return soup dot get underscore text. So I hope you guys know how beautiful soup work. If not, that doesn't really matter. So that's basically how we can just process content from the web using beautiful soup and the HTML parser. So once I have this done, I'm going to go ahead and create a collection of tools. I'm going to say tools is going to be this is going to be web browser, and I'm going to say, simply say dot internet search tool, and I'm going to say again web browser create an instance, and say process underscore basically search results. So that's basically my tool right here. So once we have my tools, basically a list of tools, now you can go ahead and create the agents. So to create an agent, you're going to have let's go back in here and let's look at the agent that you're going to have in our case. Okay, so in our case, you're going to have just leave the user alone. This you can think of it as not being part of our crew. Our crew is basically this right here: a supervisor, which is an AI agent; a correspondent, which is an AI agent that's going to be able to Google things online to get for us facts. Then it's going to present these facts to the news editor. That's going to be able to edit the news, and then the findings will be sent to the news ads writer. That's going to add some ads to the news. Okay, and then finally we'll go ahead and send back the supervisor, and the supervisor can then communicate with the other agent to make any changes if necessary. Good. So now let's go and start with the correspondent. So I'm going to say news underscore correspondent, correspondent, just like that, and I'm going to say equals to, and then say agent, just like this, and then go ahead and pass in the agent right here. So now to create an agent, you can pass in the role of the agent, the role, and then the role is going to be basically a role is going to be equals to, and then you can pass in a string. This is going to be news correspondent, just like that. That's the role of the agent, and then you can provide in the goal of the agent. What are the goals of this agent? And you can pass in the goal right here as well. Advanced news publisher correspondent, just like that. And then once specify the goal, we can also go ahead and specify the backstory. So backstory basically is just like a basically acting like a system prompt that you provide the LLM, okay, for this specific agent. You can provide in the system prompt right here, which I'm also going to add to it just in a second. You could say verbose, whether you want to see the verbose output or not. So verbose, for now I'm going to leave it to be true, just like this. And also I can go ahead and pass in the tools, a list of tools that I want. So I'm going to say tools right there. And I'm also going to pass in LLM, and the LLM that I wanted to use is the LLM that you created above here. So this is the LLM right here. Okay, so you can also use Olama to work with Mistral or any other open source model out there. So you can use Olama from LangChain and then use that in here to create your own LLM and then pass it in here. So LLMs, so okay, this actually call it LLMs instead of LLM. So LLM right here. Okay, so now what is the backdrop story for this? So it's gonna be a bit long of a text, so I'm gonna go ahead and simply copy this from online. Okay, online. So I have my GitHub repository in here, and I'm going to share the link with you to this GitHub repo, so you guys can have access to this right here. So once I have this right here, I can just go ahead and copy this right here. This is the backdrop story. I'm gonna copy this right here, copy this, and go back in my VS Code and simply paste it in here. Okay, so I don't have to waste your time doing that. So that's basically it. So let's make sure that we have that there. Okay, so now the errors are solved. So now I also need another agent, which is gonna be a news editor. So once the correspondent can go ahead and basically search things online, so you can see, you can read the prompt right here, function as intelligent news research assistant, adept scoring the internet for latest information. And how does it search the internet? Using this tool. So using the tools, we pass this into the LLM. So the LLM can use the doc strings to decide which tools to use. So you can see, okay, I want to search something on the internet. What tool can I use? You can see this tool is good for certain things on the internet. So it's going to use that tool to query the internet to get the latest information, and then can use this to process the latest information if necessary, and then finally proceed with its other activities, right? So good. That's basically how an agent is. And then you also need the news editor agent. So I'm going to go ahead and simply copy this from here so that we avoid saving we save on time. I don't want this video to be extremely long. Okay, you also need to go ahead and pass in this other agent, which is just the ad writer agent, that's going to write ads after the news editor has created the final publication. And then finally, we also have the supervisor that's going to oversee all the other agents that we have. Okay, so good. So once I'm going to have that pasted there as well. So you can read all this prompt if you have your time. I just don't want to waste a lot of time going through this one line by line. Okay, so once we have now we have all our agents. Now we're going to go ahead and specify a bit of task to each of these agents. So I'm going to copy this, and then let me just copy that properly. Copy all these tasks that we have right here, copy all the tasks, and then simply bring it back here and paste in all the tasks right here. So we have 3 different tasks. So task 1, task 2, task 3, and task 4. So we say this is the first task, and it's being news. I'm saying news correspondent. Okay, let me I think I got the spelling right here, so I'm just copy that and then replace it here. Good. So that's it basically. So you can see we have the first task right here, which is conduct a comprehensive search on the internet on the current trends in space technology, specifically focusing on SpaceX and the Mars mission. Your final response should provide a detailed explanation of the approximate cost and timeline of the mission, summarized into 3 paragraphs. Also include any advancements made in the space industry. Make sure you include links to the sources or websites from which you obtain the facts. Right, so that's basically the task that we give to the news correspondent, and it's going to go ahead and see, okay, I'm an agent and I have this bunch of tools, so I need to search things on the internet. Which tools am I going to use when I use this tool? And how does it know? Through this doc string, right? So uses that and then search things on the internet, get back the response, and then pass the response back. And you can see this one right here, using the research findings of the news correspondent, write a publication for the newsletter AI News. The publication should contain references linked to resources stated by the correspondent. Your final answer must be a full blog post of at least 3 paragraphs long. Right, so you can limit this depending on which model you're using to avoid overflowing your context window. So guys, we have also task 3, using the final report from the news editor. Include ads in the final publication, and that will help advertisers advertise their products to potential customers. I want you to include images that you can get from the website, blah, 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 and all that. So you can see all that instructions right there. And then finally, we have the supervisor. To meticulously review and harmonize the final output from both the editor and the news ads writer, ensuring the coherence and excellence in the final publication for AI News. That's it, and that is being assigned to the supervisor agent. So we have different tasks, and the tasks are being assigned to different agents within our crew. So you can see we have the supervisor that's gonna the correspondent that's gonna research things online, pass those findings to the editor that's gonna write the final publication, pass this to the ads writer that's gonna write the ads for this publication, and then pass the supervisor. The supervisor can then supervise the work and then makes any changes if necessary. right? So that's basically what we have right there. So those are the agents and how they can collaborate to do the final work. So now let me just go ahead and simply copy this right here. So now we're going to go ahead and create our crew. And our crew consists of multiple agents, right? So let's provide the list of all the agents that we have, the news editor, the new ads writer, and the supervisor. These are all the different agents that we have, right? So we pass all of them into a list of agents. Then you create a crew passing in agents as a list of all the available agents. And you pass in the task that you want to perform. So this task can be performed asynchronously. So right now, CrewAI does not support asynchronous, like parallel running two different tasks at the same time. It goes sequentially. So task 1 gets finished, gets task 2 gets finished, task 3 gets finished, task 4 gets finished, right? And then finally we get back the final response. So you can see that's basically it right there. And you can specify verbose, and you can change this number to see how intense you want verbose. So if you want more verbose, you can increase this number or reduce the number. Okay. And then finally we have we simply get your crew to work. You just say crew.kickoff, and then finally print the results. So it's not kickoff, get for us all the results, and then finally we are printing out those results. So good. So that's basically how you can create basically this kind of agentic behaviors using an LLM application. Okay, so now let's go ahead and run this and make sure that our code is working. So go back into my terminal. Now we have that was the installation for DuckDuckGo search. So now I have that. Now I'm going to go ahead and simply run the code. So I'm going to say ls and change that into my app folder. I can say I have the file like this. So I'm going to say poetry run python 3 and then finally basics, and then run that. So that's going to take a bit of time, and all the agents, you can see the agents will be communicating with each other, doing the necessary changes until now the supervisor approves the final report, and then the final reports will be presented to us. So that's going to go ahead and do all that for us. Okay, so now we should just give it a bit of time. Right now it looks like my PC is a bit sluggish because of I think I'm recording. So whenever I'm recording, my PC becomes a bit sluggish. That's basically, you can see this is now starting. Okay, comprehensive research on the current trends in space technology. That's task 1. So you can see we have it right there. So you can see you can't find builder. You requested HTML parser. Do you mean okay? So I think I need to HTML. So let me just see. HT. Okay, I got the spelling there wrong. So let me go ahead and correct that spelling. So it is HTML parser. I know it's HMLT. So HTML. Okay, so make sure I get that right. Okay, so once I have this done, now let's go back and clear this, and then let's run this again. So hopefully I have no more errors in there, and that should now basically work fine. So HTML parser, everything should work fine. Okay, now as we run this, this should now go ahead and okay, now you can see specifying the different tasks, mission, your final response, and then there's basically the instructions, the prompt that you provided. Okay, so now you can see what the correspondent is starting this task 1, because we assigned task 1 to correspondent, and this is basically the prompt that we provided it right here. So now the correspondent is going to take this task and begin to use the tools, the necessary tools that it has to perform the necessary action to accomplish this task that we gave it, right? So it's going to take a bit of time, use the different tools. In this case, it's going to use the internet search tool. That's going to use DuckDuckGo to browse the internet to find missions, find details about SpaceX missions and the Mars mission. Okay, so basically you can provide anything that you want in there. So let's give it a bit of time and let's see how this goes. Yeah, so you can see the task just got completed. This can take a bit of time depending again on your internet speed and how fast your computer is, mostly on the internet, right? And the number of like how many requests are being sent to the OpenAI servers. Okay, so now so if you have your own local server, this should be much faster. Okay, now so let's see what it has done. So we went ahead, basically we started with the news edit. Okay, it's a news edit. Let's look started from the news correspondent, which went online, Google something. So you can see Elon Musk is there because this guy is really the founder of SpaceX and is really popular when it comes to space industry in Mars and all this. So you can see got back all the things, the links right here. New York's Time, Elon Musk says SpaceX should land on Mars in 3 to 4 years, and you can see all that information right there. And then the ads writer picks it up. So the crew, basically the editor, the news editor, that basically wrote the editions, right? Wrote the final report. The ads editor then add a different its own work to it, and you can see all that right there. And then finally you can see the conversation ads writer writes ads. And then finally we get the supervisor. The supervisor examines the work, and then finally we go on from there. So examine the work, we get back the supervisor again. Task output, the the ads are conceptually strong and aligned with it. Approves the work of the ads publisher and all that, and then finally publishes the final report, right? So you can see this is the final report right here. Okay, so this is the chain right here. Okay, so you can see the review of ads and then all that output, the information then comes out right here. Okay, so you can see all that information right here. So that's it, and I think that's basically what we need to do. So you can see right now we're not getting back the final ad. So you can see it's just getting back a report of that information. It's just analyzing the information, giving us a report of how that publication is either good or bad. So now we should actually just change our prompts a bit and then ask it to return to us the final publication, right? So we can add that to it, and then we can add that to it right here. So we can say once done, return publish the final report. That's it. So that's basically how you can set up and use set up and use CrewAI. So basically, guys, that's bring us the end of this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure that you like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and you share this video with anyone who you think might find it helpful. Thank you guys for watching so much, and see you in the next one. Keep safe.